The time has come for Marvin and I to do our volunteer work for R.A.M, Remote Area Medical. What is R.A.M, you ask? Well, it's an organization that sets up medical clinics in remote areas all over the world to provide free health care to those who might not get it otherwise due to distance, time, or expense. The type of health care varies depending on either what equipment is available or what type of providers are available. This clinic is being held on the Rosebud Indian Reservation in St. Francis, South Dakota. The people that live here are Lakota Sioux Indians. We arrived on setup day to help out and get a feel for how this process was going to work. 3 clinics needed to be set up: dental, vision, patient registration, and general medicine. We were surprised and relieved to discover that we would not be in tents as we had originally thought, but rather in nice air-conditioned buildings. First step, unload the semi with all of the equipment and supplies. This truck was amazing, a double-decker which I believe was actually designed to transport 2 layers of cars. The R.A.M staff would unload pallets of materials, and the volunteers would distribute them to their respective buildings. In just a matter of hours, all 3 clinics were set up and ready for patients the next day. That evening, there was a quick service in the church before dinner, and then a special performance of Native American music, specifically Lakota Sioux.
For many generations, like I said, my son, my grandson, they started the drum here. So tonight I'll talk a little bit about our drum before we share some songs, and then later on we're going to invite all of you to do what we call friendship dance, and that's called a round dance. We have many different songs for just about every occasion, and because our Lakota people were warrior societies, we have a lot of veteran songs going back from the 1800s to World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and there's a lot of family songs that when you go off, the Lakota word is called Suya, is when you make a journey to the unknown. These boys here started singing, like I said, when they were small. I have a grandson that's going to be 2 years old in September, and he sings at the drum, and he loves singing. So he is going to actually be starting the 6th generation of wrestling singers. In all our gatherings that we gather, there's always 4. 4 is the number that we believe in because the 4 seasons, the 4 directions. Actually, there's 6 directions because we pray to the Creator above and also to the Mother Earth. So there's 6.
We have just returned from our last day with the R.A.M clinic, and we're tired but exhilarated and excited all at the same time.
For privacy reasons, we can't talk about individual people that we saw.
We weren't allowed to do any filming actually at the clinic. We do have some pictures that will be on this video of the folks that we worked with, and some pictures of the mission, kind of the campus area of the mission. But we were not allowed to do any filming, of course, for privacy reasons while clinic was in session. Marvin was serving as a physician, and I got assigned also to medical since my background was there. Figured out what my role was exactly going to be, and ended up being the reception for the medical clinic. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. I mean, we had a great team at this clinic too.
Our team consisted of nurse practitioners, a couple of physicians, nurse coordinators, administrative coordinators. We saw a lot of people with chronic problems that needed to be addressed. As a physician, I found this to be quite rewarding. One of the things we experienced while we were on the Lakota Sioux reservation was that, one, English may not have been the native language or the language that was routinely spoken, and that there were trust issues with Western medicine versus traditional medicine. And of course, I'm not very well versed in the traditional medicine, but I am fairly well versed in the Western medicine and could help people in the way that I knew how to take care of them.
They do provide breakfast for you every morning, and that's a little bit of a chance to socialize with your other volunteers. Very intelligent, talented people working these events. You not only have the medical professionals, but professionals in other areas, and oftentimes they're spouses of, you know, the licensed people who are working. It was a chance to socialize and network and meet people we would never meet otherwise, and it was a really special group of people.
We had people from essentially all over the United States that came to this event, but the whole thing was, it was people coming together to provide a service for people that ordinarily wouldn't get their service.
And in vision and dental, those were really interesting areas too. Dental, of course, a lot of people just flock to those two areas because those are the primary things that they're looking for, and they'd get fillings and teeth pulled, and I guess with every event it just depends on what services they provide, but it can be anywhere, you know, crowns. I've heard some provide crowns and root canals, and it's just amazing what they can do. The vision, it was serving as basically a one-stop eye doctor. I mean, you go in, you see your eye doctor, and then you go and you pick out your frames. The frames have been donated by companies or people, and you know, when you take your old glasses, like to those boxes that say donate your old glasses here, they really do trickle down to places like this, and they really do get used. The lenses and the frames are taken out to the truck outside, and the glasses are generally made within an hour or two. And the people are just so excited to get their new glasses and be able to see sometimes clearly for the first time in their lives, or in 10 years, or however long it's been.
We talked to some of the volunteers, and they said they would present new glasses to people. They would put them on, and they would get a huge smile on their face, and they say, I can see a blade of grass, I can see a leaf on a tree. I haven't been able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
R.A.M. in general, we traveled 1,500 miles from Tennessee just to get here, and we've traveled an hour each day in each direction to and from the Rosebud Indian Reservation, and we've put a lot of miles on the truck. The Airstream has weathered the storms that we've had each night.
And getting up very early to get there early. I mean, we're leaving our rig and it's still dark outside. So, but on the way there, we got to watch the sunrise because it was an hour before we got there, and we just happened to be driving during the time when the sun would come up. So that was pretty cool.
You know, to experience nature out here on the prairies is spectacular at any time, and to see it at the times of day when other people don't see it was very good. We caught a rainstorm, and we caught some pretty sunrises, not sunsets, sunrises, although we did catch some pretty sunsets here too.
Yeah, in our campground we get the sunsets.
If we get home in time.
Yeah, or if we're still awake because we're going to bed early. Last night, for instance, we were just dog tired, and I really kind of wanted to go home, but we just decided to stay, and so we had dinner, and we went to, there is a museum there that is really fascinating.
The Buchel Memorial Lakota Sioux Museum.
Mm-hmm.
It's open on irregular hours. It'd be best to call ahead if you want to come. but it is spectacular in the history and the artifacts that are there. And I've never seen anything quite as moving as that museum. And I've seen lots of museums that have Indian artifacts, but none so moving as this.
It's hard to explain. You just kind of have to go in and experience it. After that, there were some vendors who set up in the outside in the campus area there in the grass, selling their wares, whether it's fabrics or beadwork, metalwork, whatever it is that they were selling. I got these earrings, really cute, and I got a couple more pairs of earrings. Marvin got a beautiful necklace that this delightful woman made from a breastplate that was in her family. She said that it was falling apart, and so she repurposed it into necklaces and other jewelry. It is quite an exquisite piece. Highly encourage, if you're at all interested in doing this kind of thing, to do some research on this. Remote area medical called R.A.M. You can find information about it on the internet, and see if this might be something you'd be interested in doing.
Yeah, this was fabulous. We would wake up every morning, it would be dark, we would grab a cup of coffee, and then head out west towards Kilgore, Nebraska, turn right, and after a short travel on some Nebraska unnamed roads, we would get on BIA 13, which was fairly rough. Fairly
It was
rough.
pretty rough, yeah.
Like you needed new dentures or teeth after you rode on it. And we had, I think, 18 miles to get to St. Francis after we turned off of Highway 20 in Nebraska. But I'll tell you, after the first trip, those bumps weren't quite so bad. And the trip got shorter and shorter each time. And I really enjoyed working with the people I worked with and met a lot of interesting people.
But all in all, we have had a fantastic time here. I'm so glad that we decided to volunteer for this. Marvin had known about this for years from when he used to live in South Dakota, but never had had an opportunity to volunteer for this event, and we were kind of coming this direction potentially anyway, and so we said, well, let's just do it and see what it's like. And so glad that we did. And now we're talking about maybe doing more, or at least coming back to do this one. R.A.M. has these clinics really all over the world.
Part of my history, I lived in South Dakota. I went to medical school here, and it was an opportunity to repay an obligation. South Dakota took a chance on me. I was happy to repay them by seeing this service on a free basis.
So we'll hopefully do another one in the future. And please volunteer for this if you can. It's really worth it. I do want to thank all the coordinators of R.A.M. who helped put this event together. Matthew, who was the volunteer coordinator, was really fantastic, and just appreciate, a shout out to Colleen, who was our lead at the medical clinic. She just did a fantastic job, and we just all worked together,
And
like I said, so well.
to Poppy, who was the overall,
And to Poppy, yes.
who was the overall event director from the R.A.M. standpoint, and from Marty, who was the liaison at the St. Francis Mission.
At the dental clinic there. Yeah, really great people. Thank you very much.
Hats off.
you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and leave any comments or questions below. And be sure to subscribe to our channel. It's free. Once you have subscribed, click the bell icon to be notified when we post a new video. Thanks for watching.